The final boil of the year. It's time to get cleaned up. So this is the last of the sap that we had. I brought in a bunch of the buckets yesterday and loaded up the evaporator here, and so we're starting to get things evaporated off. This sap here probably won't be that good. A lot of it was cloudy, a lot of it was like that last run when the buds started to come out on the trees and stuff, so I'm sure it's going to taste weird, but I'm sure it has a use of some sort. So I'm still going to boil it down. We're still going to try to use it and figure out what we can do for it. We won't be selling this or anything. This will just be for our kind of experimentation and playing around with maybe making maple candy or maple butter or something else that hopefully the off flavor won't have as much of an effect on. So, but we do have to get out into the woods and get cleaned up. So what we have left to do is basically you have to go around all the trees, the ones in the yard and the ones out in the forest. We'll be using just a claw hammer. I actually can't find my Wonder Bar, which is normally what I would have used, but this claw hammer is nice because it's got a pretty flat arch on the claw here. So we'll use this to pull the taps. We'll be collecting all the tubing and all the taps. Summer's got her job of collecting taps, so you got a couple in here so far, right? Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, I set a goal of I wanted to collect over 1,000 gallons of sap. That was the goal. So did I make the goal or did I not? You'll have to stick around. I'll let you know how many gallons we got towards the end of the video here. All right, so open your bucket up. So we need to count the number of trees. We'll count the taps at the end. Right now, let's count how many trees. So this is one tree.
One tree?
Yep. We'll see.
We can do this next year. We can use these buckets. Ah, no, we can.
All right, this is 2 trees. Number 6. Some more. 45. This is kind of a good example of what happens to the sap. Warm days and we get mildew, mold growing in the bucket, and you can see the sap there is kind of yellow and cloudy. But that's what happens towards the end of the season, and the buds start coming on the trees and the sap gets an off flavor to it. It'll get brown, and with the warm weather it just doesn't last out here more than 24 hours and before it goes bad. So we got to throw all this out and we got to clean all these buckets. All right, hang on tight, we're going up the hill.
Okay.
Whoa.
I think it hit. All the frogs.
Yeah, listen to those frogs. Let's see. Yep. All right, so we had 58 trees tapped back here. I also have 9 more in the yard, so 67 total trees is what we had tapped. Now, of course, we had a lot more taps than that because a lot of them got 2, and some of them got 3, 4, and even 5 on some of the larger multi-trunked ones. So 67 trees. Now I had actually only counted about 75 trees when I came out in the fall, but I found a whole lot more maples out here as I looked around the edges of the swamp. There's a few more and a few other areas that I found more trees than I had actually anticipated, but I wasn't able to get them all tapped because of the flooding. So I expect there's probably close to 100 trees available in the woods here for me to tap. Next year we'll get a jump start and get all those marked that I didn't mark this year. We'll have a lot more taps in the trees. So, but let's get up and see how our boils doing in the greenhouse, and let's count all these taps out, see how many total taps we had, and then let's look at our total tally for maple sap collection and how many gallons of maple syrup did we get.
Look it! A spider, a beetle, or something.
Well, it looks like our boil is doing pretty well. I need to throw some more wood in there. Just about done. But here is what we have for taps. And actually, I found 2 more trees that I didn't count. So we had total 69 trees that we have tapped. So let's get these taps counted and see how many total taps we had. All right, so we have had a great maple syrup season. The season's been long. We've had good cold weather, which has kind of been annoying for other reasons, but it's been a good extension of the maple syrup season. Although I had a lot of struggles this year, I think we learned a whole lot, and I'm confident that next year we could probably double the amount of taps that we have in the trees, including some neighbors and friends and stuff like that have offered some of their maple trees. Also, with just what I've learned about being more efficient, I had the big bad, burned up batch here that was probably over 4 gallons of syrup that I wasted. I had a lot of struggles. I had a lot of spills, stuff that you haven't seen on camera. Accidentally letting buckets fill and overflow onto the ground for who knows how many gallons are wasted, and not collecting in time and having buckets overflowing out in the woods. So a lot of waste, but we made a lot of progress. So what are the totals? What did we harvest this year? What did we get? So I've been keeping track of everything in OneNote as I went along. So I had a total sap collect goal of 1,000 gallons of sap this year. And unfortunately, I came a little short. I only was able to collect 869 gallons of sap. That's probably a low estimate. I was estimating 4 gallons on every 5-gallon bucket just because they weren't filled to the top. I had a 6-gallon bucket I was using to collect. I only estimated 5 gallons of that. So it's probably a little more than that, but definitely didn't break 1,000, unfortunately. So we had 69 total trees tapped around our property here. That was a total of 110 actual taps in the trees, which equaled out to 12 total finished good gallons of maple syrup. If that were all marketed and were all sold, that would equal about $1,200 worth of syrup. Obviously, some of that we're going to keep for ourselves. Some we'll give away to family and friends as gifts, things like that. We're not going to sell all of it, but that's how much total profit or total revenue we could have made off of the maple syrup. 4 gallons, as I said, was totally burned up in the evaporator, so that was about another $400 that we could have added on to the total there. Another 4 gallons of sap or syrup would have been awesome. And I probably have about maybe a gallon or 3/4 of a gallon of syrup that we'll get out of this last little batch here, but I'm not counting that. So that wasn't none of that was included in the 12. But I think we had a great year. The greenhouse worked great. The evaporator worked great. Only a few minor tweaks with some of the stuff in here. But next year we're going to be way more efficient. I'm going to get way more sap and hopefully make a lot more better maple syrup. For those of you guys who got some maple syrup from us, thank you very much. And it was awesome to send those out and just hear your comments about how you liked it. It meant a lot to us. So unfortunately, we don't have too much more for sale. I may put some more up later on in maybe the next month or so. So keep an eye on our website. I'll probably make an announcement on social media when we have some more available for sale. If we do, I do have a few more cases of finished syrup that we may throw on there. So as always, guys, thank you so much for following along. This has been so much fun. And let me know if you guys have questions or comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. As always, subscribe to follow along with the channel. Thumbs up on the video if you like the maple syrup series. This will kind of close us out for the year. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.